There's a war going on outside, and you're not holding the gun. You're sitting behind a screen, scrolling, hoping the next podcast, the next motivational reel, the next cold shower is going to change your life. It won't. Because life doesn't reward intention. It rewards pain. And most men today are allergic to it. This video isn't about finding balance, or loving yourself, or manifesting abundance. This is about truth. Brutal truth. The kind you only realize after life kicks your teeth in and no one comes to help. The kind that separates the few who rise from the millions who rot. You want power, freedom, wealth, legacy? Then welcome to the initiation. Let's be honest. You felt it. The quiet voice in your head that says, you're behind. You look around and see kids half your age with more money, more attention, more control. You feel the panic, the rage, the shame, and that shame either destroys you or it forges you. The problem is, most modern men aren't forged. They're coddled. We've been lied to since birth. We've been sold a script. Go to school, follow the rules, don't make anyone uncomfortable. And one day, life will reward you. It won't. Because here's the truth. Nobody is coming to save you. Not your parents, not your government, not your girlfriend. And sure as hell not the influencers selling you their 17-step formula to passive income. This video is not a guide. It's a mirror. A punch in the gut. A wake-up call for the men who are tired of being told to be patient while life passes them by. You see, there's a reason people fear the ambitious man. It's not because he's violent or cruel. It's because he knows too much. He sees behind the curtain. He knows that the world doesn't run on fairness. It runs on leverage. And if you don't understand that, you're prey. But here's the twist. Becoming dangerous doesn't mean becoming evil. It means becoming undeniable. It means becoming a man people can't ignore. Not because you're loud, but because you're clear, focused, ruthless with your time, your energy, your standards. That's what this video is about. 25 truths you were never supposed to hear. Because if you knew them, really knew them, you'd stop playing by the rules. You'd become a problem. And society doesn't like problems. It likes predictability. It likes soft, agreeable men who apologize for breathing too loud. Men who seek permission before making decisions. Men who are so afraid of rejection, they reject themselves first. But you don't want to be that man, that's why you're here. So let me be clear. This video isn't going to comfort you. It's going to confront you. Some of these truths will piss you off. Some will make you defensive. That's good. That means they're working. That means the lies are cracking. Because the most important transformation a man can make isn't physical. It's not financial. It's philosophical. You have to change what you believe about life and about yourself. Not just intellectually, but emotionally. Deep in your bones. Until the old you feels like a stranger. Until your default setting is discipline, not distraction. Power, not permission. This transformation is not for everyone. Most will click away. Most will hear the first few truths and think, that's too harsh. And they'll go back to their comfort zone, their scrolling, their excuses, their numbing routines. But the few, the dangerous few, will stay. They'll listen, they'll feel that burning in their chest and realize, this is it. This is the fire I needed. And those men, they don't just change their own lives, they change the game. Before we dive in, I want to make one thing clear. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to tell the truth. And the truth is, most of what you've been taught about success, women, money, purpose, and identity is wrong. Dead wrong. That's why you're stuck. That's why you keep reading, learning, trying, but nothing clicks. You don't need more information. You need calibration. You need to rewire your worldview from the ground up. So here's how this is going to work. We'll break down 25 truths, each one a blade slicing through the noise. We'll group them into 5 categories. 1. Truths about power, because without power you're invisible. 2. Truths about pain, Because the world respects scars, not softness. 3. Truths about women, not what they say they want, but what they actually respond to. 4. Truths about success, not the Instagram version, but the brutal path no one posts about. 5. Truths about legacy. Because one day, you will die. The only question is what you leave behind. Each section will shake something loose, and by the end of this video, you'll either be angry or awake. But if you finish this video, really finish it, you'll walk away with something most men never touch: clarity. You'll see the world for what it is. You'll see yourself, raw, unfiltered. Power is not what most people think it is. It's not just status, money, or fame. It's not about dominance or control in the traditional sense. In fact, the most powerful people are often the quietest in the room, the least reactive, and the most emotionally distant. Real power is subtle. It's influence without force. It's having the ability to shift a room's energy just by entering it. And that kind of power doesn't come from yelling the loudest or showing off. It comes from mastering yourself. 1. Power begins with perception. If you want power, start with how others perceive you. Not how you see yourself. How they do. People make snap judgments in seconds. Are you confident or uncertain? Do you walk with purpose or hesitate? Do you say little and mean it, or speak constantly and say nothing? Most men today are obsessed with being liked. They think approval is power. It's not. Approval makes you predictable, it makes you pliable, it makes you weak. Here's the truth. The more you need people to like you, the more power you give away. Powerful men are respected, not because they demand it, but because they never chase it. 2. Emotional distance is magnetic. Most people are emotionally accessible 24/7. They answer every message. They explain themselves. They justify, apologize, over-clarify. You want power? Create space. Let people wonder what you're thinking. Be unpredictable. Don't respond emotionally. Don't explain your every move. Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Why? Because fear implies respect. It implies that your actions matter, that you can't be controlled. This doesn't mean being cruel. It means being composed, emotionally self-sufficient. When people know they can't manipulate you with emotions, they begin to obsess. They'll chase your validation. They'll try to decode your silences. That's power. 3. The illusion of choice is power. Think about the most powerful platforms in the world: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. You think you're choosing what to watch. You're not. You're being shown what they want you to see. They offer you options, but control the menu. Real power works the same. You don't tell people what to do. You design the environment they make decisions in. You let them believe they're choosing, but you're pulling the strings. At work, in dating, in negotiation, never give all the options. Frame the discussion. Set the tempo. Offer paths, but lead them to the one you want them to take. Power is never about domination. It's about guidance masked as freedom. 4. Power is scarcity. When you're always available, you're not valuable. If you respond instantly, say yes to everything, always explain yourself, you're common, you're replaceable. Scarcity creates demand. Every luxury brand understands this. They don't flood the market. They make you wait. They limit the drop. Suddenly, everyone wants it. Not because it's objectively better, but because it's rare. Apply the same principle to yourself. Say less. Appear less. Make your time expensive. Let people earn your attention. When your presence is rare, people will obsess over your absence. 5. Power is mastery over self, not others. You want control over others? Start by controlling yourself. That means discipline when it's easier to indulge, calm when it's easier to react, confidence when it's easier to seek validation, silence when it's easier to defend yourself. Men think power is about controlling women, colleagues, enemies. That's false. Power comes from internal dominance, from being unshakable. Imagine a storm raging around you, but inside, silence. That's what people respect. That's what makes people ask, who is this guy? They won't be able to stop thinking about you because you're different, because you're untouchable. Wealth isn't just money. Wealth is freedom. It's time. It's not needing to explain yourself. It's doing what you want, when you want, without asking permission. But most men today don't understand this. They chase income, not power. They chase high salaries but stay broke in time, energy, and leverage. Here's the truth. Rich and wealthy are not the same thing. 6. Income is not wealth. You can make $300K a year and still be broke. If you spend $295K, hate your job, and have no time to think, you're just a highly paid prisoner. Real wealth is unearned time. It's cash flow that comes in when you sleep. It's assets that grow without your presence. It's walking away from a job or deal and not feeling panic. The lie they sold us was, go to school, get a good job, save money. But that path leads to dependence, not freedom. Wealthy people don't trade time for money. They trade systems for money, assets for money, audience for money. 7. Wealth comes from asymmetry. Most people work in a 1.1 ratio. 1 hour of work equals 1 unit of pay. The wealthy don't play that game. They look for leverage, code, media, capital, teams, anything that allows them to do the work once and get paid forever. That's the secret of real money. Write 1 book, sell 1 million copies, build 1 product, reach 1 million people, record 1 video, make money every day for years. That's asymmetry. It's not about working harder. It's about building systems that work without you. If you're not sleeping while money flows in, you don't have wealth. You just have income. 8. Attention is the new oil. There's one commodity more valuable than oil, data, or gold: attention. Why do you think social media platforms are free? Because you're the product. Your attention is being sold. Influencers, creators, brands, they're all fighting for one thing: your time. Here's the kicker. You can fight back. Build your own audience. Start small. 1,000 true fans. Speak the truth. Offer value. Then sell to that audience. A course, a product, a service, your ideas. Attention is infinitely monetizable, and it compounds. Most men are watching content all day. The powerful ones are creating it. You don't need 10 million followers. You need the right 10,000. And if you're not capturing attention, someone else is, and they're getting rich off it. 9. Wealth is silent power. The richest men you know, you probably don't even know them. Because wealth isn't loud. It doesn't scream from rented Lambos or fake watches. It sits quietly, in paid-off real estate, in ownership stakes, in equity deals, in silent influence over what others consume. Poor men want to look rich. Wealthy men want to be free. Think about it. Who do you admire more? The guy yelling on TikTok about his lifestyle? Or the guy who moves in silence, builds empires, and never needs validation? That's real wealth. Quiet, confident, untouchable. 10. You will never get rich. Renting your time. You can't become wealthy on wages. No matter how high your salary goes, you're capped. And if you stop working, the income stops too. That's not freedom. That's a treadmill. Wealth comes from ownership. Own equity in a business. Own a content channel. Own intellectual property. Own rental property. Own something that scales without you. If you're not building something that pays you without your presence, you're building someone else's wealth. And that's the hard truth. Status is the invisible architecture of power. It's what determines who listens when you speak, who obeys when you move, and who watches when you do absolutely nothing. In every room there's a hierarchy, spoken or unspoken, and most men are completely blind to it. But here's the truth. If you don't understand status, you'll always be controlled by someone who does. 11. Status isn't about money, it's about perception. A man with 100 million but no confidence, no presence, and no social command will still get ignored in the wrong room. A man with poise, clarity, and a sharp tongue can walk into any room and get what he wants, even if his bank account is still catching up. Because status is not about what you have, it's about what others think you have. It's a perception game. That's why some broke guys run the room. That's why some rich guys get dismissed. It's not meritocracy, it's human psychology. And unless you're playing this game deliberately, you're a pawn on someone else's board. 12. People obey symbols, not logic. You could be 100% right. You could be smarter, more experienced, more correct, and still lose. Why? Because people don't follow truth. They follow symbols. They follow uniforms, titles, followers, a deep voice, confident pauses, well-cut suits, men who don't flinch. If you look like a leader, people will assume you are one. If you hesitate, they'll assume you're not. This isn't fair, and it's reality. So master your symbols, your tone, your posture, your appearance, your online presence. If people can't sense power in the first 10 seconds, you've already lost the status battle. Remember, the world isn't waiting to give you what you deserve. It's waiting for someone who acts like they already own it. 13. Status is a networked game. Your value isn't just who you are, it's who you associate with. Status is viral. It spreads through proximity. You could be brilliant, disciplined, and talented, but if you're surrounded by average men, you'll inherit average status. Spend a year in a room of winners, and your baseline will rise. Your speech will change. Your posture will shift. You'll absorb the unspoken codes of confidence and power. That's the status upgrade no one talks about: environment. So audit your circle. Cut those who pull you down. Get in rooms where you're the dumbest man. That discomfort, that's the sound of your status leveling up. 14. The most powerful men are feared, not liked. Here's an uncomfortable truth. The highest status men are not always the most loved. They're the most respected. Most men are too soft, too agreeable, too desperate to be liked. And in the process, they dilute their power. You don't get status by appeasing everyone. You get it by standing firm, saying no, taking positions others are afraid to take, letting people disagree with you and not blinking. There is something magnetic about conviction. When a man believes in himself deeply, others can't help but take notice, even if they resent him for it. You don't need to be cruel, but you must stop needing to be liked, because likability is a trap, and status lives outside the trap. 15. Status can be engineered. You can build status. It's not magic, it's not reserved for the elite, it's a skill set. Here's how. Become the best in one niche. Any niche. Obsession builds reputation. Share value publicly. Writing, speaking, teaching. The more people learn from you, the more they look up to you. Look the part. Presentation matters. Even in 2025, speak slowly, speak clearly, speak last. Learn to say no without explaining yourself. Most importantly, start owning your narrative. Status comes from the stories people tell about you when you're not in the room. So shape the narrative. Live boldly. Make your moves visible. Build reputation capital like others build financial capital. Because in a hyper-connected world, the perception of value often precedes actual value. Let's get one thing straight. This is not a red pill rant. This is not about bitterness. This is not about pickup tactics. This is about truth, the kind most men are too afraid to say, and too inexperienced to understand. Because here's the harsh reality. If you don't understand women, you'll spend your life confused, frustrated, or emotionally enslaved. But if you do, if you truly grasp the psychology of attraction, you won't just succeed with women. You'll understand power, perception, and human nature itself. Let's begin. 16. Women don't want a nice guy. They want a strong man who can be nice. Most men think kindness is the key. It's not. Kindness without strength is weakness, and weakness is repulsive. You know what nice guys are to most women? Emotional projects, emotional insurance, background characters in someone else's story. But kindness from a man who has boundaries, confidence, and options? That's different. That's not weakness. That's choice. That's strength under control. That's power dressed in velvet. Women don't want jerks, but they respect men who can protect, assert, lead, and then choose to be kind. Not because they have to, but because they can. 17. You will be judged by your ambition, not just your appearance. Men are judged by their trajectory. Yes, your looks help. Yes, charisma helps. But what women are truly watching is your direction. Are you moving forward? Are you building something? Do you believe in yourself, or are you still asking for permission to be great? Here's the truth. Women are biologically wired to seek safety, not in the modern physical sense, but in the deeper evolutionary sense of psychological security. A man with no vision, no goals, and no fire is a threat. Not physically, but emotionally. He is instability made flesh. Ambition signals protection, it signals future provision, it signals growth, and women, consciously or unconsciously, detect it in every conversation. You don't need to be rich, but you must be driven because a man with momentum is magnetic. 18. Confidence is not loud, it's unapologetic presence. You don't need to talk the most, you don't need to brag, you don't need to fake dominance. Real confidence is quiet certainty. It's the man who doesn't chase validation, the man who can sit still and own silence, the man who can say no without guilt and yes without desperation. You've seen it. The guy who walks into a room and instantly owns it, not because he's loud, but because he's centered. That's the energy women feel, and they feel it fast. You don't need lines, you don't need games, you need self-respect, and the willingness to walk away from anything that threatens it. Because when you're not afraid to lose someone, you become someone they're afraid to lose. 19. Women are not rewards, but they are reflections. Here's a harsh truth. The kind of women you attract is a reflection of the man you are. If you consistently attract chaotic, insecure, disrespectful women, you need to look inward. Because healthy, grounded, feminine women are not drawn to wounded, confused, passive men. This isn't victim blaming, it's reality. You don't get the woman you fantasize about. You get the woman who mirrors your level. If you want a high-value woman, you need to become a high-value man. Period. Build discipline, build wealth, build confidence, build emotional control. Then, and only then, will you naturally draw women who live at that frequency. And if you lose her, you won't panic, because your value didn't come from her. It came from within. 20. The man who can walk away is the one who gets chased. Attachment is dangerous. The moment your self-worth becomes tied to her validation, you've lost. You'll start compromising your standards. You'll tolerate disrespect. You'll beg, cling, apologize for things you didn't do. And slowly she'll lose respect. Not because she's cruel, but because she can't help it. Desperation is repulsive. Neediness is suffocating. But a man who walks in love, not fear, a man who wants her but doesn't need her, is unstoppable. He commands attention, he earns devotion, and not by manipulation, but by not abandoning himself. So here's your power play. Love deeply, show up, be present, but always know, you will walk if your peace is threatened. That is strength. That is masculine energy. That is irresistible. Everyone wants to win, but few understand what winning actually requires. Not in motivation videos, not in motivational quotes, but in reality. In blood, sacrifice, obsession, and clarity. Because real winning isn't glamorous. It's lonely. It's brutal. And it's not for everyone. This chapter is about the final truths that separate the motivated from the unstoppable. If you absorb these and live them, you will not just outwork people, you'll outlast them. 21. Winning is boring, get used to it. The real work? It's repetitive. It's not dopamine rich. It's not creative brainstorming sessions in coffee shops. It's doing the same 3 to 5 things every single day, without applause, without motivation, without a reason other than this is what it takes. That's why most people lose. They're addicted to novelty. They want the next hack, the next method, the next 7-step plan. But the winners? They pick one thing, get really good, and repeat. Not for 30 days, for 10 years. The gym, the cold email, the silent grind, the revenue reports, the content uploads, the consistent outreach. You win when you stop asking, how can I make this fun? And start asking, how can I do this regardless? 22. You don't need more tools. You need more ruthlessness. Most people don't fail because they lack resources. They fail because they lack ruthlessness. You know what ruthlessness is? It's not cruelty. It's not stepping on others. It's the ability to say, this is my goal. Everything else is noise. If you're not helping, you're in the way. That includes distractions, habits, relationships, and sometimes even family. It's saying no 1,000 times to protect the one yes that matters. It's waking up at 5 a.m., not because it's trendy, but because that's the price of your ambition. Winners cut faster, decide quicker, and feel less guilt about choosing themselves. The man who can say no with clarity becomes the man who eventually hears yes from the world. 23. Your identity must change, or nothing else will. Tactics don't change lives. Identity does. You want to become a millionaire? Then stop trying to act like a millionaire and start being one. That means you think long-term by default. You track every dollar like it matters. You execute when you feel tired. You read when others binge. You study your enemy and design your moves like war. You are not your old self anymore. Winners go through ego deaths. They stop being the fun guy in the friend group. They stop being the people pleaser. They stop being liked and start being respected. This hurts, but this is the only way. You must be willing to leave the old version of yourself in the dirt. 24. Winning is a byproduct, not a goal. Winning is not something you chase. It's something you earn by living right, daily. The goal is not the trophy. It's not the revenue number. It's not the follower count. Those are shadows, outcomes, symptoms of what matters. Process, discipline, self-respect, focus. If you fall in love with those, you win even when you lose. Because the man who sticks to a system he believes in is invincible. Even if he gets beat today, he's building momentum that can't be stopped long-term. Winners don't wake up thinking about beating others. They wake up obsessed with not breaking their code. They don't chase validation. They chase alignment. 25. If you want $1 million life, prepare for $1 billion in sacrifice. The bigger the life, the bigger the price. That means loneliness, misunderstanding, being judged, constant self-doubt, betrayal, late nights no one sees, silent wins no one applauds. People think they're ready to win, but the truth? Most aren't even ready to be misunderstood. Most people crumble when their girlfriend leaves them for working too much. Most fold when their parents don't understand why they're not chasing stability. Most quit when the dopamine dries up and their friends are having fun without them. But the man who can walk that desert, the man who shows up anyway, he becomes a myth. He becomes a legend. He becomes a force. You want the life that no one else has, then suffer in a way that no one else is willing to, and do it without complaint. Because real winners don't cry about the pain. They expect it. They welcome it. Because pain means you're on the edge of transformation. Here's what this was all for. You are not just here to get women. You are not just here to get money. You are not just here to be productive. You are here to become a force, a man who moves through the world with intent, with precision, with power, and you don't need permission, you don't need approval, you don't need to be liked. You need to be undeniable. So here's the final truth. If you embrace these 25 harsh truths, If you really live them, you will terrify some, attract many, and win where it counts. In freedom, in power, and in peace. And if this hit you in the gut, then I ask one thing: subscribe. Because the next video, it will take you even deeper into power, philosophy, and the art of becoming the man they whisper about when you leave the room. Let's build something different. Let's win.